What's up, guys? So I'm just gonna do a short video. This video post is just gonna be on like quick shit about COVID. Still, of course, 2021, there is still a lot of disinformation about COVID. You know, what the vaccine is, the mechanism of the vaccine, the types of vaccines, what coronavirus is, why this form of COVID is more deadly, things like that. It is totally understandable that based off of many instances that you can point to in the past between the public and the medical industry, many problems with the system, it's not unreasonable that people have problems with COVID, right? Or they're apprehensive to believing everything that the government is telling them about COVID. Totally understandable. Like any system, there may be parts of the system that you have a problem with, but you can still use the system because it is still effective, right? So we'll acknowledge that there are levels of questioning with the legitimacy of certain aspects of the healthcare industry. That is very true. True for sure. What is also very true is that if people do not distance, if people do not mask, if people do not engage in the basic mitigation practices that we've been given from the experts, you will increase the probability of people dying around you, including yourself, and you will be complicit in murdering people. There's no way around this. As we've gotten more information, the deeper we've gotten into COVID, with the lack of precision or the lack of understanding that people have with COVID, the more things that come out when people already have certain ideas in their mind about COVID, it only gets worse the more information you pad on, right? So like deeper down the hole, like their entire framework has so many problems that now like a lot of people are over it, like so over it. A lot of people took fucking measles vaccines when they were young. All of a sudden these shits don't work. Like I've even heard some stories of people saying they never got it when they were young. They had a doctor who faked it. Like I don't even know if some of these stories are real anymore. But with 2021 here and the COVID spike and it getting worse and people still, and based off of the amount of deaths that we have, it's obvious that enough people are just not following instructions. So it's very important, if you're a person who believes in science, you believe things are very real, you believe this is real, it is important for you to get informed and push against it as well. You can't rely on the medical community to do this because they haven't been for a long time. You can't expect them to do it with COVID all of a sudden. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna happen. The medical community has stood on their fucking ass for many things. And unfortunately, I'm not gonna lie, me working in a hospital, many of the things that have been brought to the forefront now that like a lot of people knew about, racial and ethics, disparities in healthcare, all these things, I'm 1,000,000% sure when we're done with COVID, a lot of those things are not going to be readdressed, which also contributes to why people are a little bit more, which also contributes to why a lot of people are really not open to listening to advice from the medical community, especially as Black people, Hispanics. It's understandable. I just want to let you guys know it is very important to understand the concepts before you engage with any of these conspiracy theories. As a minority, Black people eat a lot of fried food. They're very obese. They account for a small percentage of the population, which is about 13 to 14%, and they have many issues with themselves. I mean, they have many issues, which is a part of the relationship between the medical field or academia and the average person. It's understandable. And anti-intellectualism becomes real strong with like more poor people and all of these things, but I'm not gonna get into that. The main thing is like especially if you're a member of the Black community, it's very important to have clear messaging and letting people around you who are minorities know the intensity of COVID. It is not a joke. Your fucking ancestors' spirits, they won't help you. Praying to God's not going to help you. None of these things are going to help you. They won't. Many other people have already said this in terms of they've prayed to God. How many people you think prayed to God? How many people you think were religious when they caught COVID and still died? God can help you with this. COVID doesn't care about your plans. COVID doesn't care about any of these things. You cannot anthropomorphize COVID. COVID is not one of these things you can apply human traits to and think it stops. It doesn't care about that. So I'll end up on this, like, guys, good to get informed and make sure you align the impact of your actions with your intent, and you actually engage in actions to create that world you want, where, you know, health systems aren't overloaded like they already are. People's, you know, certain counties have reached capacity, so anyone who comes in after that may end up getting sent away. There are two worlds, right? There's like how the world is and how you want it to be. If you never align these worlds, what ends up happening is the world in which how you want it to be, if you operate in how the world is based on, and you don't take into account the consequences of that, what happens in the real world is gonna fuck you over. I know people like to believe it changes your DNA. I know a lot of minorities will believe all the conspiracy theories that they have regarding COVID. But the reality is, if you keep playing in this world, you will die. You will increase your chances, well, not die fully. You'll increase the chances of people getting infected. You'll increase the cases. You'll increase the hospitalizations. And you'll increase the deaths. All of these things will occur. And it's not about you. If it was only about you, no one would care. If it was just about you, then people wouldn't, then I'd be fine. We can send you to a fucking chamber where you can die off, but it's not about you. You're not the only person who gets impacted by not wearing a mask. Do you think we'd really care? Really? If you were gonna sit off in a corner and die and we can isolate all the, no, of course not. I was even up for sending a lot of the anti-vaxxers and shit inside of, letting them be part of the clinical trials. You're already giving your life away, you know, not paying attention to science. And I'm gonna scrub through some of my content. I don't know if I'm gonna redo them or I'm going to re-upload them. But anti-intellectualism, like, I've always said I'm not the smartest person on earth, and I agree that I'm not really smart. I just make an effort to read. And when it comes to COVID, or with anti-intellectualism, when you don't make an effort to read and get informed and understand these concepts or anything, just try to get informed about something. The more you read, even a Wikipedia page, then going off of that, articles, if you don't make an effort to do this, it can kill you. With COVID, it literally kills you to be stupid. It literally does. This has been the case with politics. This has been the case with many things, right? But at the end of the day, if you didn't align the impact of your actions with your intent, it really don't matter, right? When you're on your deathbed, what you think? COVID's gonna be like, damn, now you believe it's real? Let me head away. No, COVID's not gonna do that. That's not what's gonna happen, right? You're just gonna die. You're just gonna be on your bed. You're just gonna leave behind family. You're just gonna leave behind friends. You're gonna do all these things. So it's very important to stay informed about COVID. If you are a person who knows people who do not agree with COVID vaccine, it is up to you to get informed and try to push against it, because again, the medical community is not going to stop alone. There are many hospitals and shit. There are many hospitals that are still fucked up. Many parts of hospitals like still don't even have the mitigation practices they should be practicing. There's a lot of shit going on. So you got to be a part of that, you know, making sure you stay protected. And part of staying protected is pushing against the misinformation, you know. There's going to be precision, you know, and it's going to be a case-by-case basis. Some may be have a higher amount of conviction than others. Some may yell. But on a case-by-case basis, you can change your approach to pushing against the misinformation. So do you have to be like aggressive like me or sometimes? I mean, look, I take that on a case-by-cases, but as a black man, I'm just an aggressive nigga apparently every time I become assertive, so it don't matter. You know, depending on what other shit you got, you know, that may inhibit people from listening to you for whatever reason, try to control for that and modify it. Because again, it doesn't just end with videos of doctors crying and all that shit. I don't even give a fuck about the medical professionals, really, because many of them contributed to the problem for decades. And again, like I said, many of the things that have been touched over are not going to get resolved when COVID ends. It's not going to get resolved, because this is just how it's been, right? It only got brought to the forefront because it made the impact of COVID worse. But once COVID subsides, you think they're going to go over mental health a little bit more? No. Do you think they're going to? No, they're not. They're not. Unless we get the public to start making an effort. Whoa. What about all that other shit now? Maybe we should pay attention to politicians. Maybe we should push for them to be more active in trying to resolve these things. What boards are going to be made? What committees are going to be made, right? It still takes the public to push that, right? You can't rely on academia. Academia spends a lot of its time in facilities not doing shit and pushing the message out. And some do. And some may deal with the moral and ethical dilemma of the consequences of being that person to bring that information out. Backlash, death threats. We've just seen Fauci and his family, you know? So there's a lot of stuff to take into account, but the deaths are real. The excess deaths are real. So basically, we're at like 400,000 deaths by now. All of these things are real. All of these things are real. And you don't want to be that person who dies because you thought you were smarter than everybody and you didn't pay attention. That's it, pretty much. Like, comment, subscribe. More of my shit will be up. Yeah, all that shit. Have fun, stay safe.